is that young Patricio?
Well, I'm going to let him introduce himself because
Great.
he definitely wanted to be part of this because we're very big Kung Fu Panda fans and he hopes to be an animator when he grows up. So he's
Nice.
actually, I think, going to lead the interview for us. So go
You're
ahead.
talking to the right people.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Carter with the Patricios, and I'm 12 years old.
Nice to meet you. You want to be an animator, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came home with a bunch of drawings today. He wanted me to check out. So
Awesome.
I'm glad he was paying attention in school.
Hey,
awesome.
do you draw on paper with pencil? Do you ever do like awesome?
Yeah. And he also we have like these little spiral books that fit in the side of his backpack. So he'll draw at recess or at lunch. And then when the book gets filled, we have to put a new one in the backpack. So yeah.
Very cool. You're on your way. Can I tell you a cool thing that we did during this film is for every fight sequence, I have to assume you guys have seen this film. Have you seen it? Great. So for every fight sequence and whenever the chameleon transforms into a character, Sean had some of the guys that worked on part 1 and 2 and 3. We went back to pencil and paper and we animated it, hand animated most of the fight sequences before we even put it into the computer. And it was a really cool thing because it was sketchy and like the movement was cool and it almost helped us make better decisions and move faster. And then by the time we animated it in the computer, it just made it even better, right, Sean?
Yeah, it was a great blueprint because a lot of times we didn't even have the character rig in the computer to animate. So way early on in the process, we would just have, his name was Philippe Lebrun. He was our 2D fight choreographer. He would do like a whole 2D path, 2D animation of all the fighting or sometimes how the chameleon moved. And it was so informative because then when the animator got on the shot, he knew exactly what to do. He would still add a lot of fun stuff to it, but it was a really great blueprint.
But even sketching how their clothes moved and stuff, like as they fought and how their tails moved, it was really, really cool. So keep drawing on the paper, keep killing trees. We love paper and pencil.
And you might be interested in this. When the DVD comes out, there's going to be a how to draw Poe featurette, which I did, which is kind of scary because it's funny in the 2D days, you would draw the character for like a year straight. And then they would record one of these how to draw things. It's like, you know how to draw them blindfolded. I've never actually drawn Poe until this how-to featurette. So I had to learn how to draw Poe like in 2 days. So
now, to be fair, Sean was in charge of 50 other animators. So he's pretty busy. There wasn't a lot of time for you to draw Poe.
Right.
But Carter can figure out exactly how to draw Poe from you.
Okay, wait, I want to ask a question. What made you guys decide, or I guess this would be for Mike, to have a chameleon as the villain in this one?
Well, I think this franchise has the best villains of not just this franchise of any animated film. I love these villains. I love Tai Lung. So we were like, we didn't even want to start making this film until we came up with the perfect villain. And when we were talking with the writers, they suggested, well, I was like, whoever the villain is has got to be better and more powerful than the last 3. And they're like, what if she can turn into the last 3 villains? And we're like, all right, well, then it's got to be a chameleon. We're in a world of animals. And so that decision to make her a chameleon was very quick. That one was that was the easy part.
Yeah, that was so cool. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to
She's great, isn't she? Isn't she cool?
Did you like her?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. Okay. Do you want to ask your first question for Sean?
Sean, when did you know you wanted to be an animator?
That's a great question. I actually knew that I wanted to be an animator when I was 5 years old. I used to draw all the time. And even more specifically, I knew that I wanted to work for Steven Spielberg, who was the original founder of DreamWorks when I was 5, because I saw the movie Jaws. You could see the shark back there. I'm like obsessed with Jaws. And I've always loved movies and I love drawing. So I went to school in New Jersey for animation. And then the first place I wanted to work was DreamWorks because Steven Spielberg made Jaws. And so, I
Sean wanted our villain to be a shark, but we're like, that's too complicated. There's not enough water. So.
Yeah, there is a little homage to Jaws in the film, though. If you watch the very beginning, there's a scene where Poe is fighting a stingray. And there's a down shot where you see the stingray under the surface of the water circling Poe. It's almost taken directly from Jaws.
Oh, we have to go back. We'll have to watch it tonight. Oh my gosh. So Sean, New Jersey, and then did was it easy for you to just go straight into DreamWorks? Like, was it tough?
Oh, yeah, it was very difficult because, I went to school for 3 years at it was a comic book school called the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Arts. It's the only school in the country that's for comic books. And they had an animation program. So I went there for 3 years, moved out to Los Angeles, and could not find a job for like a year. It was just like knocking on doors, taking tests. It took forever. And then finally, I got my first job on a show called Futurama. And I worked on that for 4 years. And then when that show was canceled, I finally got my dream job at DreamWorks. And I've been here for like 22 years or something. Yeah, I love it. The studio is amazing. But yeah, it was tough to get in because you have to be so good. Like the talent at DreamWorks is incredible. Like everyone is so good.
Didn't you talk to as many animators as you could? Sean, weren't you like meeting as many animation people like when you were a kid, like even when you're out of work and just asking them questions? And
I wish, like in Jersey, I didn't know anyone. My family had no connection to animation at all. So I didn't even have the illusion of life until I got to college. Like I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I grew up in Oklahoma. Not a lot of animation being made in Oklahoma.
Right.
I know. Well, we're in Fresno, California. And so I told him, I was like, you'll eventually probably have to go to school down south. Like you got to be there, like where DreamWorks is or where Disney or Netflix or something. Right. Like you've got to, figure it out.
Well, animation's so big now, you can almost go to any school and learn it. Like they all have animation departments now, which is really neat, right?
That is neat. Yeah.
Okay, one good piece of advice though is a lot of the students that I have, I teach at an online school for animation, and many of the animators that were on Kung Fu Panda 4 went to this online school, and they're from all around the world. So you could basically live almost in any country, take these classes, and then become an animator. So it's pretty cool.
There you go. All right, you want to ask Sean your first question?
What was it like watching Jack Black in the booth of voicing Poe?
He is the best. He is so good and energetic. And I was just saying to another interviewer that one of the things about the actors when they come into the soundstage and they record is they don't do very much. Like they're just like in front of like this music stand. They have
you got to keep them facing the microphone. So a lot of them don't move so much.
Right. Yeah. So they're really just trying to make their voice go up and down, and they're really trying to get into the character, but their face doesn't do very much and their body doesn't. Jack goes crazy. Jack's face is like really hitting poses that are exactly what we want to match. He does a lot of really cool arm gestures and movements. So we steal as much as we can from Jack because he's amazing.
Oh my God. Well, we think he's hilarious. So I was like, I'm sure just to watch him in the booth, you guys are probably just like cracking up. Oh my God.
By the way, guys, he is Poe. He's like a fanboy, like he's and he can like do really high karate kicks.
So, we've seen some videos. I mean, he's hilarious.
One really cool story about Jack is a lot of the actors, they come into the recording studio, they record, and then they go home. But Jack really wanted to meet the animators, and he did it on the third movie. So he came up to our department, hung out with them. I have a picture of him massaging one of the animators' shoulders while they're working, getting them pumped up for the scene. And then on this film, he wanted to come in again and say hi to everybody. So we actually brought him into dailies. We showed him the trailer for the first time.
And he brought Awkwafina with him. He introduced Awkwafina to everyone.
Love her. Oh my God.
Yeah, he was great.
It was neat.
That is so cool. Okay, you have one last question. You want to ask Mike? Like, ask him number 3. Ask him that one.
Did you have a favorite scene to animate?
Oh, wow. I gotta say, one of my favorite scenes was we put together the fight sequence in the tavern. And we thought it was so fun with her throwing spices in people's eyes. And she has such a different fighting technique than Poe did. And then we're done. And I brought in, Sean, I don't know if you know this story, but we're on the 4th floor editing. And on the 5th floor was another director, Tom McGrath, that directed all the Madagascar movies and Boss Baby. And I came down, I wanted to show off. I was like, look how cool the sequence is that we just put together for the tavern. He watched, he's like, yeah, it's pretty good. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, could be better. And he did one quick sketch of that tavern was on a little hill and tilted back and forth. And he laughed, and I was like, what a great idea. So I stole his idea. And then we went back and animated it. And then we added this whole tilting to it. And it was great fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
Did you know that story, Sean?
I've heard that it was Tom's idea. Everyone in the other departments flipped out. Like, how are we going to animate the whole thing tipping back and forth? And then we figured it out. And
the producers
so much funnier.
The producers came into editing later, and they're like, "Has Tom been in here? What's going on? What's happening? This is expensive." It's funny.
Oh my gosh! Well, thank you so much. This was such a fun interview.
Carter, I can't wait to work with you. I hope you'll hire me when you start to direct animated features yourself.
Now, we tried to do a little research before this, but Mike, is it true you worked on the Lego movie as well?
That's right. Yes, I directed the Lego 2, the second part.
Oh my gosh.
Are you guys Lego people? You guys like to play with Legos?
Are we Lego people? He has 2 huge Lego tables in his room, and he just constantly builds too.
Do you know we weren't allowed to do any animation in that unless it was made out of a piece that actually exists that people could purchase and own. And it was very difficult to do. Can I tell
I bet.
Yes, the Lego company. And by the way, I got to go to Billund and see the Lego factory. I got to visit it and see how Legos were made. So there.
We go to the one in Carlsbad a lot. Oh my god.
There you go.
But we're big Lego fans too. So thank you so much for your time.
Right on. Nice to meet you guys.
Bye.